Some child actors define an era. They're inescapable. On TV, in movies, on magazine covers. But then there are ones who leave a lasting impact without getting the recognition they truly deserve. Vanessa Chester Lee is one of them. She was the first black girl in the Jurassic Park series. She starred in a beloved childhood fantasy film and also starred as the science-loving best friend in a Nickelodeon hit movie. But somehow, she remains one of the most underrated childhood stars of the 90s. So let's take a look at Vanessa Chester Lee's life and her thriving career that she had in the 90s. Born on July 2nd, 1984, to Guyanese parents, Vanessa Chester Lee grew up in New York before moving to California to pursue acting. Unlike many child stars of the era, she wasn't just cast for cuteness. She had talent, presence, and the ability to bring warmth to every role she played. But even with such major projects underneath her belt, Vanessa has always had a realistic outlook on Hollywood. She once said, "The day that you start thinking that you're all that there is in Hollywood is the day that your career ends. Have patience, because nothing is going to come by easily." And she was right. Hollywood can be brutal, especially for young black actresses. But Vanessa, she made her mark. Now, if you grew up in the 90s, you might know a little film called A Little Princess. Directed by Alfonso Cuarón, yes, that Alfonso Cuarón, who later directed Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This was a movie that he directed that was beautifully shot, adding a little elements of kindness, resilience, and imagination, and just being very much the fantasy film that all little girls would want to see. The story follows Sarah Carew, a wealthy and imaginative young girl sent to a strict boarding school in New York, while her father fights in World War I. Initially treated as a special guest due to her father's wealth, Sarah's world is shattered when news arrives that her father has died and his fortune is lost. Cruel headmistress Miss Minchkin forces Sarah to become a servant, moving her from her comfortable room to a cold attic. Despite these hardships, Sarah maintains her dignity and kindness, using her imagination to cope with her circumstances and helping others along the way. She befriends Becky, another servant girl, and continues to tell magic stories that bring hope to those around her. Vanessa plays Becky, the kind-hearted servant girl who befriends the main character, Sarah. At first glance, Becky's role seems predictable. She's the poor black girl in a period piece. But here's where A Little Princess broke the mold. Becky was more than just a sidekick. Her friendship with Sarah wasn't a cliche rich girl helps poor girl dynamic. Sarah treated Becky as an equal, and Becky was given her own personality, dreams, and she even had a happy ending. A black girl in a fantasy film, dressed in elegant costumes, and being part of a magical story, and getting a happy ending. See, to me, that was groundbreaking. And for her role, Vanessa was nominated for the Hollywood Reporter's Young Star Award. And might I add, this was the project that got her into even a bigger movie franchise, but we're not gonna get there just yet. Harriet the Spy is a children's novel written and illustrated by Louise Fitzhugh, first published in 1964. Now, I grew up with both of the movie adaptations. I watched both Harriet the Spy Blog Wars, which I thought it was a Disney Channel original movie, but apparently it was actually released under the production company Nine Story Entertainment. And I also grew up with the 1996 Nickelodeon movie Harriet the Spy. Harriet Welsh is an 11-year-old aspiring writer who obsessively spies on everyone and records everything in her private journal. When her notebook gets exposed, her classmates turn against her, and she learns the hard way that honesty can be brutal. Harriet has two best friends, Sport, a struggling rich kid, and Janie, a mad scientist in the making. Janie Gibbs is played by Vanessa, Harriet's smart, science-obsessed best friend who loves blowing up things. Vanessa has brought many characteristics to her character, such as humor and intelligence, proving that black girls in kids' movies didn't always have to be the sidekick or the sassy comic relief. Sometimes they can just be the cool nerds with their own passions. When recalling the experience on set, Vanessa recalls, "There were 15 kids in the schoolroom. It was just like I was in school. It was fun and we had computers. But on The Lost World, it was so boring because everybody was doing all this fun stuff and it was like, sorry, Vanessa has to go back to school." For her role, she took home the Young Artist Award for the Best Performance in a Feature Film Supporting Young Actress. Okay, so picture this. You're a actress and you go to your own premiere of A Little Princess. And suddenly, Steven Spielberg, walking alongside his daughter, walks up to you and says, "You're a great actress. I'm going to put you in a movie someday." Sounds like a dream, right? Well, for Vanessa Chester, it was reality. Vanessa was 12 years old when she was cast in The Lost World Jurassic Park, being the first black girl to be casted in the franchise as a co-star. Vanessa plays Ian Malcolm's daughter, Kelly. Kelly Malcolm is a girl who loves gymnastics and is someone who just wants her father's attention, with him being a workaholic. And she gets a lot more than her father's attention. Yeah, she gets dinosaurs chasing after her. One of her fond memories on set was being able to sneak away to a room full of animatronic dinosaurs. Someone decided to prank her by moving an animatronic head with a mask, which completely freaked her out. During auditions with Jeff Goldblum, funny enough, whom she thought was Sam Neill, who played Dr. Alan Grant in the first movie, Spielberg directed her through an audition where Goldblum had to pretend to be a velociraptor chasing her while she ran away. That is very scary. Being able to be casted in a huge movie franchise surrounded by movie stars was such a dream for someone so young. She has said about her co-stars that Jeff Goldblum had incredible energy and a powerful presence. She had the biggest crush on Vince Vaughn, whom she found hilarious. And Julianne Moore was like a mother figure on set. Her favorite dinosaur to work with was the velociraptor, and she also was eager to do her own stunts. Except for the gymnastics, she had a stunt double for that. As part of the film's promotion, she traveled the world for press junkets, including a trip to Africa. She even had her own action figure, which was mind-blowing. At one point, she did an exhausting 78 interviews in a single day. The Lost World Jurassic Park became the second highest grossing film of 1997, only behind Titanic. For her role, Vanessa was nominated for a Saturn Award, as well as an Image Award as well. There have been many other roles since then, but based off my memory and childhood, those three specific roles of hers always stood out to me. Today, Vanessa remains in the industry, and you can see her in recent projects such as the latest Super Bowl 53 commercial. In the wake of Michelle Trachtenberg's untimely death, Vanessa penned this beautiful tribute to her Harriet the Spy co-star. Most people don't know this, but Harriet the Spy was the second time Michelle and I worked on a project together. And it wouldn't be the last time we were co-stars. We first met in the early 90s on the set of a Panasonic commercial in New York. Shown in this photo of us playing what I can only assume to be a game we named Spoons Digging Dirt. I remember even at 5 being shocked by Michelle. Just a year older and maybe an inch and a half taller, I was absolutely stunned at how someone so tiny could have such a huge presence, and a laugh that was even larger. If you ever witnessed Michelle's laugh cackle, you know it could effortlessly shift a tectonic plate. We immediately clicked. Both the daughters of immigrants who recognized that their precocious and talented kids needed a positive creative outlet. I remember leaving set that day thinking, wow, you can become friends with the people you met on set? How cool. Years passed, and the next time I saw you was on Pete and Pete. The secondhand pride I felt knowing that this person I met years ago was on a Nickelodeon show was out of this world. Little did I know that less than a year later, you and I would be reunited again, this time with the coolest kid ever, Greg Smith, to star in Nickelodeon's first feature film together. Since I heard the news of your passing, people have been referring to you as my co-star, and that's been bothering me, because that was secondary to our friendship. When I started reflecting on our time together, I realized that you were such an integral part of my preteen and teenage years. Whether we were gorging on Fruit by the Fruits with Zane while watching Conan O'Brien, figuring out which jellies to pair with our outfits, or simply just letting our imaginations take the wheel and steer us towards fun. Somehow, we always made the most mundane situations an epic adventure. As we got older, careers and distance made keeping in touch harder. To be honest, I was convinced that we would eventually end up working together again for a fourth time. Thank you for all the laughs, witty comebacks, the choreographed dances we prepared to show absolutely no one, preteen dating advice, and for your friendship. You are an absolute icon, Michelle. It's been an honor to share a screen with you, and even more of an honor to know you. I hope you're at peace and resting easily in paradise as a queen should. Love you. You guys, I want to know, what is your favorite film from Vanessa Lee Chester's filmography? Subscribe and comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.